Hello, my fellow seekers. Welcome to Into the Work, therapy for empaths, seekers, and the intuitively driven, where you have front row seats to therapy sessions and expert interviews that will help you define the important work that you're here to do. So I guess you actually have something better than front row seats. You practically have a seat on my couch. That's right, you will have unrestricted access to actual sessions with real people, exploring real life issues. You will continue to be inspired by powerful conversations with experts and healers that might just share exactly what it is that you need to hear to get unstuck. I am Michelle Pauverman. I am a recovering people pleaser and former anxiety-driven empath, turned now mostly grounded psychotherapist and intuitive coach. I have been helping people for almost 20 years manage their limiting beliefs and anxiety to finally stop the self-sabotage and step into their gifts. I created this podcast, Into the Work, to give you a place to learn more about yourself and give you actionable strategies to finally move those roadblocks holding you back so you can go for what you want. Above all else, my hope is that this podcast is a catalyst for your awakening. If you're listening, you've already taken a step towards getting off of autopilot, and our next steps together will be taken episode by episode, waking you up to the possibilities, the new ways of thinking and being, so that you can stretch into that next level of your story. The spark has already been lit, and my friend, this is a journey from spark to brilliance. So together, let's light a fire. Welcome back to the show. I am excited you're joining us as we conclude part 3 of our 3-part series on raising your vibration. Today is another episode that's going to be packed with inspiration and suggestions to help you create big, magical changes in your life, which I know you can do. First, we're going to dive into 2 really important types of boundaries that you can begin working on today to help you become a stronger manifester and attractor of all things magical. That's what we're here for, right? Then we're also going to explore how you can embrace magical thinking and higher frequency emotions and thoughts to have big impact on your expansive energy, which I know we talked about last week, to create beautiful things in your life and to start feeling more joyful and magical. I know we discussed this also last week because you're a super sensitive energy being, right? And this is sort of part of your purpose here, to heal in a big way. But first, I want to remind you of why this work is so important. Why I am doing a 3-part series on raising your vibration. On one hand, it was very obvious because there was a really clear need. It just kept presenting itself to me. I mean, people just kept coming in to see me and expressing feeling so low. And on the other most obvious reason, I really want to help you improve your mood, improve your energy, and feel so much better, because when you do feel better, it shows up like a ripple effect in your life. Improved relationships, improved inspiration, energy for your career and life goals, right? And your health, if nothing else depends on this vibration change, it is your health. But it even goes deeper than that, because when you do this work that we're going to even dive in so much deeper today, when you do this work to raise your vibration, you are remembering who you are on a non-physical level. You see, you have your physical self and all of the physical things that you've collected or attained in life. The clothes you're wearing, the place you live, the car you drive, the things you possess. These are all wonderful creations on the physical level. It's what you have been doing down here, creating in the physical world. And it can also be a little distracting. So it's wonderful. And I don't, sometimes quote unquote stuff is given a bad rap, like stuff is evil and stuff is problematic. And I believe, if you want my 2 cents, that the things you have created or chosen to be in your life are incredible. They're amazing. They're wonderful. They're magical. I believe it's a large part of being here is to desire things and to want and to create. That's how we become in the world. And I don't believe there's anything wrong with abundance or having. I think it's part of our becoming. So unless you create negative attachments to this stuff and therefore it drains you, like you have a lot of anxiety and perfectionism and you need to look outside yourself for validation with this stuff, then that's very different. But that's you creating pain around stuff. It's not the stuff's fault, right? But all of this is distracting. This stuff in our life can be distracting us a bit from our non-physical selves and all that you really are. In some way, I feel like we are so close to it when we're born, but we get further and further away, and then we have to find our way back to source. We have to find our way back to what we're made of, where we come from. For example, in our physical selves, we get caught up in dissatisfaction of not having what we want. And our non-physical selves, or our soul selves, know we need to simply just be in the energy of the desire of it all, right? Just to be in the exciting energy of desire. But our ego or our physical selves, we get really caught up in just not having it. So all of this raising your vibration work that I've been talking about in this series is to help you realign with the frequency of source of your non-physical self, to create more joy and abundance in your life, and to feel the magic of reconnecting and remembering this is just all energy and you get to play with it. You are way more powerful than you have probably realized, that your physical self has not realized. Your non-physical self knows. So your job is to awaken a little bit more from your physical form. And this physical world you've created, being all human down here, I think the goal for you next, as we kind of are diving in here and you're listening, you wouldn't be attracted to this if it wasn't, is to awaken to your soul self a little deeper. Now, I remember once reading that we only hear what we're ready to hear. And I honestly really believe this is true. It's why you can have two very different experiences listening to this podcast today and then again in 6 months. You have many levels of awareness and consciousness, and you will receive what you are ready to receive. So my job is to help you awaken a little bit more, episode by episode, to remember who you are as a vibrational, energetic being here to create an exciting life. And undeniably, when you awaken to the secrets of the universe all around us, you will experience the high and the joy and the magic of it all. And then you'll return back to being human for a little while. I probably have said this many times on this podcast, but I think we're meant to fall off the path. That's a part of being human here is, right? We're supposed to fall off the path, get all muddy and dirty, and then get back on the path, look for the light, get cleaned off, really expand ourselves. Because every time we fall off the path and we lose our non-physical self, every time we come back to it, we have a higher viewpoint. We learned lessons. We've expanded our field a little bit more. We've expanded our energetic being a little bit more, our vibration. And so we actually rise up and we have a new viewpoint. And so it's important to fall off the path in our journey here. So don't beat yourself up for that. So we're going to talk about our boundaries and our thoughts. They are two very powerful ways that we can impact a change today. Some of the most powerful ways. So to begin with, 2 types of boundaries I want you to start focusing on today. Okay? And the general ones are that boundaries with others. So we're going to talk about how you can set a boundary with others, whatever that looks like in your environment, outside of you, and really find where you are leaking energy. It's crucial to your frequency, to your vibration, to having all that you want to have, right? We have to find all the leaks and we have to take care of them. And next, the second type of boundary we're going to talk about today is really setting a boundary with yourself. Take inventory on 1 or 2 things. I really am going to push you to probably just choose one, but 1 or 2 things for you to notice that lead to constricted energy, right? Remember, we talked about that last week. So we are looking to move from a constricted energy form into an expansive one. But you can't do all of the things at once. You're going to come up with 15 things you'd like to change. Just focusing on 1 or 2 is a strong way for you to multiply your joy and do all that good stuff because it will naturally spread to other areas of your life. And it goes for both boundaries, so your internal life or your external life. Just start with one or two issues that you notice tend to repeat in your inner and outer world. So once you focus on this, you'll start to notice your energy expanding, and your expanded energy supports you in creating more and more. The more expansive that energy that you hold, the more it becomes easier for this to just spread in your life. It gets easier. So let's look at how you are doing with boundaries, with holding boundaries around other people or things. So I want to start by having you consider how much you've grown. We need to start there. Some part of you along your path has already awoken to what's okay for you. You've clarified that. You know what does work for you and what doesn't work for you. And you have communicated this at some point. You have made some progress. If you look back 10 years ago, you can see, oh yeah, wow, I was in a different place. I was really people-pleasing then. Wow, I have had some shifts happen in my life that have really been different. And so, or maybe there's a really safe relationship you've gotten into and it's become a place where you can speak your mind, and that's really taught you a lot. But either way, I just want you to know you have already grown. You've probably been on the path, fallen off the path, gotten back on the path, right? But either way, you may even find certain areas in life that are actually easy for you now, right? Maybe they were very difficult for you at one point, and now it's very easy to set that boundary. It's like you don't even think about it anymore. But you listen to your internal guidance, you listen to your emotional GPS along the way. So right? Whatever is difficult right now, whatever we're going to identify today for you to work on, you are capable of changing and healing. You've already done it. It's just another layer of healing or awareness for you to tackle, and it's just being back on the path, right? Or maybe falling off, who knows? But when it comes to boundaries with others, where are you challenged most? I want you to think about that. What is happening in your life right now? Where are you feeling resentful? What are you getting in your head about and ruminating on or spinning a bit in frustration? I want you to label the situation, meaning what's the situation in life that's bothering you? Who is involved? What is the trigger, right? What's your stuff that's getting triggered so you can identify that, because that's always important. What are you doing instead of setting a boundary, right? Are you just saying, yes, no problem, when you really are just so resentful and don't want to do it? Or are you freezing up, avoiding and ignoring? Perhaps you're being passive instead of being direct, wondering why they just don't get the hint, right? But I want you to notice some of these questions. Who is involved? What is happening? What is your trigger? What's your stuff that's yours to own? What are you doing instead of setting a boundary? Just really think about that and label it. Okay, we don't want to have secrets here from yourself. You really want to get clear on what is it that you are doing. Because that thing that you're doing instead of setting the boundary is really crucial to know, because that you have to step into that when that's happening and do something else. But if you stay on autopilot with that, passivity or just saying yes, or just somehow it feels more comfortable to stay there, even though it's really not. But you have to know that. And when I have a question to ask you, is there something that you would need to believe about yourself in order to feel that setting the boundary is not only a no-brainer, but it's just easy? What would need to change within you? What would you need to believe about yourself to know that that just is easy? That holding your power and trusting that what is necessary for you must be good for all, right? That's a really important thing for us to start to adopt. If something feels necessary to me, I can usually trust that it's really good for all, because even if that person's disappointed, somehow whatever they go through, I trust is going to actually better them, make them stronger, Maybe they get a new resource because they couldn't use me and it's a really good one, whatever that looks like. And sometimes I want to put out there, it isn't a yes or a no. And sometimes we just want to choose a compromise. Life is not black and white. And whatever the situation is for you, what would a compromise be that feels best for you, that feels good for you? Like there's part of you that really does truly want to do something here that's helpful, but you need better boundaries around it. And so you really need to get clear with yourself. And this sometimes can get a little tricky because when we try to compromise, sometimes we end up, trading the yacht in for, a scooter. Like we have to make sure that this feels energetically balanced. Okay. So we're going to ask yourself that question when you decide on the compromise. You're going to ask yourself, does this feel expansive or does this feel constrictive? Right? Like we talked about last week. You have to identify the leak. And that's what we're doing here is you're looking for resentment, frustration, feeling powerless or trapped in a situation is absolutely negatively constricting your energy field, constricting your energy source, keeping you out of alignment with source, keeping you out of alignment with what it is that all the things you want. So I'm just going to give you a little example of boundaries with others. When we ask who's depleting you, what's happening? Let's look at an example. It's like a fake story here, fake news. But maybe you get stuck talking to someone at work that just exhausts you. Maybe you want to start with something kind of simple, something that, is a little low level, doesn't feel like a huge risk, but there's somebody at work that just exhausts you. So you choose this goal. You say, I need to set a boundary with this person. They're driving me nuts. You literally, maybe you want to hide from them when you see them because they're going to take way more energy than you want to give. And whenever you feel trapped or stuck, it is your emotional GPS signaling to you that this is not good for you. And now you do have to sometimes take inventory. Is that them that's not good for me? Or what is it I am creating around them that's not good for me? Because usually it's the latter, right? And once we set a boundary, it's no longer them that's the problem. We realize it's been ourselves the whole time. So you have to take care of yourself and set a boundary, right? So an example of how you could address this issue is by nipping it in the butt right away. I like to call this like the pregame. This is the pregame. This is stop them before they start. So, this person comes around and you say, oops, hey, and they wave at you like you can tell they're walking over. They got you on their sights. Before you even get them started, you say, I've got to stop you for a second. I've got so much on my plate right now. I really need to stay focused. Unfortunately, I don't have time to talk today. I hope you understand. And then they reply with maybe a boundary kind of minor violation, right? A little rebuttal. And they say, but I need to tell you the story. You're going to love it. And then I'm asking you to challenge yourself in a situation like this. And you are going to find yourself in situations like this because people who are used to you not having boundaries are going to want to push a boundary that you put out. So then your job is to say, stop. Oh, you know what? I have to stop you there. I really do hate to cut you off, but I'm really struggling and it's really important to me that I get my stuff done. I really do appreciate you understanding. You can leave it there and literally turn away from them and start working. You can come up with a compromise like, hey, let's catch up, on Thursday at the meeting. You can tell me all about it then. You can move it to a time that feels good to you. There's lots of options that you can have in this, but what I don't want you to do in this type of a situation, or what I'm challenging you not to do, I should say, is to turn around and say, okay, I listened to the story for half an hour and be fuming inside that you did that, right? Because that's your own self-abandonment, really. But we really just blame that person for pushing on our boundary and we feel they made us helpless, right? But what's really important is that you learn to get creative, use your words, but be firm. I have to stop you there. I'm so, and some people don't like to say, I'm so sorry. Some of you have are really working on never overstating I'm sorry. And I totally get that. And good for you if that's you. I also am not going to demonize I'm sorry because it can be a nice way to make a blow. But if that's something you've done a lot in your life and you really want to call it back, then do that. But you can say, I'm sorry that I have to cut you off, but I really do. And honestly, your authenticity in this matters. Like you could come up to me and I can love you and I can just be like, nope, can't do it. Sorry, got to stop you there. Like just, nope. And like I say, I don't speak any more words. Don't speak any more words. I can't do it. I have to get my work done. I know you understand. And I could joke with you about it and turn around and go do my work, right? I'm just being authentic. I can even laugh. It doesn't have to be rude or mean. It can just really be you being authentic and being like, nobody is coming past this boundary. So now let's discuss which boundary you'll be setting with yourself. Because I am hoping that you take inventory on some of this, you take this prompt, you get in this energy, and for the next week or two, you just really try to hone in on what this could be for you. Now, holding a no with yourself can sometimes, believe it or not, be the most powerful move you make all day. It is important to recognize that when you fail to be accountable to yourself and you self-sabotage or self-abandon, you're taking a massive hit to your energy field, okay, to your energy being. Over time, you start to believe things like that you're powerless, that you just can't make it happen. None of that is true. None of that is true. There are other underlying issues that are getting in the way, but you 100% are capable of turning it around, becoming powerful again, and making things happen. So let's consider what boundary with yourself you want to focus on. Some people at this point want to choose something like, I want to be able to keep my word to myself. But I'm going to say to you, that's a bit too broad as a first step. Let's look deeper. What is something you really want for yourself but can't seem to follow through on lately? Maybe it's just lately. Maybe it's something you used to be able to do. Like I used to be able to do my workouts, or I used to be able to meditate. Consider something you really want for yourself, but you're struggling following through on. I want you to label what it is that you want. I want you to label what is getting in the way of what you want. I want you to pay attention. And remember that episode I did on procrastination? It was episode 31, Soulful Change, Breaking Up with Procrastination and Avoidance. If you recall that, if you heard that, then you remember that procrastination is not about being lazy. And the underlying issue is your emotions. And you're not managing your emotions in a high vibe way. And so therefore, you're procrastinating. And you're going through avoidance and you're getting stuck in that. So I want you to consider it as that part of it, right? What is getting in the way? Do you actually really want what you think you want? Or do you maybe don't really want that, right? And sometimes that's really important for us to get honest about, like, is this what I think everybody else thinks I should do? Or is this what I want? And then what are you doing instead of setting the boundary with yourself, right? Instead of making it happen, showing up for yourself, saying no to yourself, doing the thing that you said you were going to do, or whatever that looks like. This can come up, when we're looking at magical thinking and trying to shift our thinking, and that is also self-boundary work. Being able to hold the boundary that I am going to call myself out when I'm getting really negative, and I'm going to reframe, and we'll get into that. But what are you doing instead of setting the boundary with yourself? Again, it's really important for you to see, because that's going to be your little red flag during the day. Oh, I'm doing that thing that I say that I do, right? Is there some part of you that doesn't want this again, right? Be curious. What would you like to say to that part of you that is doing the other thing instead? What would you like to say to that part? Can you be compassionate? Can you offer some, like, hey, I'm sorry, this must be really tough for you for some reason. And I understand. And I'm not going to be critical and judgy. And for some reason, this is really hard. What is it that you're avoiding? And just sit with that and see if you can bring something up. See if emotion comes up. This is your, emotional intuition here that's really powerful. And is there a belief that you have about your ability that is getting in the way of you showing up and doing the thing, right? Is there a belief you have about your ability that's keeping you from setting this boundary with yourself? I want you to lean into your feelings and uncover what is getting in the way. Why might you be avoiding or sabotaging your boundaries that you said that you wanted for yourself? Maybe you didn't even say that you wanted them. Maybe you never even set the boundary, and you've been running around kind of like a pinball in the machine, and you really haven't gotten clear. And that's, you know what, that's fantastic, because then you know what to do, right? Then you just have to get really clear and intentional. Write it down, say it out loud, do things to own it, that this is my boundary. I'm holding this boundary, and nothing else is acceptable to me. Make a list of the behaviors or thoughts that you're doing that are not working. So if you're feeling I have these beliefs, or I have these kind of thoughts, or I have these kind of behaviors that keep spinning me. Let's say I have a boundary, I'm going to work out. But my behavior is that every morning when it's time to work out, I go check my email, right? Or I get into all my work stuff. I know nothing about this really. But you know what I'm saying? So like you're doing other things, and they may not even be more enjoyable, but for some reason, it feels better to just do these other things, right? So I'm going to go clean the house when I have to go work out, or I'm going to water the plants. So I want you to just notice and call yourself out on what it is that you're doing. So you're writing a list of behaviors and thoughts or things that you're doing that are not working, right? They're not getting you to the goal, to the boundary that you set. This is the end result that I want, and these are the boundaries that I'm holding for that. Next to each thing that you're doing that aren't working, I want you to create an imaginary stop sign, right? You just visualize a stop sign, right? You've written it all down. You can draw one, or you just put your hand up and just kind of imagine it, and either reframe the thought or write down what you're going to do instead of the behavior that will sabotage it. You have to get really good at reframing. So when you follow through on what you want for yourself, you are in alignment with your soul self, as long as the goal is expansive. If you set a goal that's constrictive, like you set it from a motivation of negativity, then it's not going to feel good and it's not going to work. So I want you to take inventory on these things. I want you to settle in. You can pause this if you need to, but you just want to sit and think about these things so that you can get a deeper understanding of what do I want? What are the boundaries that I need to have? How am I going to go about setting them? What gets in the way of them so I can identify it in the moment? How can I reframe? How can I get creative? How can I be in check with myself and follow through? So let that percolate. And as we do, I want to discuss your thinking, because that's where we're going to move to next. You probably have heard this before, but I remember this very clearly. This always stuck with me. And Wayne Dwyer famously said, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. I heard that many years ago, and it's always stuck with me because it really is the definition of magical thinking, right? It's a way of thinking and seeing things in such a way that it changes how you experience your life and bring it more magic right back at you. Last week, I discussed that metaphor of bouncing a tennis ball off the wall. What you throw out into the environment comes back. So now remember that you are made of energy, and everything everywhere is energy, including your thoughts and emotions. They are also energy, and they have an impact on the world around you, including how you experience this world. I once read about a study following two groups of individuals. Both groups ate brownies, and I think they might have had other snacks too, but I remember the brownies, and they were just a ton of extra calories every day. Now, the group that spoke negatively about the dessert, such as this is awful, I shouldn't be doing this, I have no metabolism for this, I'll never lose the weight that I gain off these brownies, they are going to cost me so much, right? That was what they were kind of trained to talk about to themselves while they ate the brownies. Now, the other group were trained to speak really positive about the dessert, right? They were instructed to give thanks, to talk about how incredible the snacks were for their body, how it was going to help them in so many ways. And well, the group that spoke positively did not gain any weight. In fact, some lost weight and had positive images of their body when finished. And now the negative group did gain weight, many gained weight, and felt really dissatisfied with their bodies afterwards. I love these examples of how powerful what we say and think are, to ourselves and what we create. I'm sure you've heard of the one where people talk to a plant negatively and the plant stopped growing, but once they started talking positively to it, it started blossoming. There's so much out there, so many really cool things. I think it's actually really important for you to hear some of these examples so that you can recognize how powerful this is and why you really need to get attached to that why. Why am I doing this? Why is this important to me? So another really neat example of how the energy of our thoughts and feelings have their own powerful energetic field, right, that impact other living things and other energy sources. There was a documentary called I Am, released in 2011. This is where a Hollywood director, Tom Shadyac, I believe it's pronounced, went to the Heart Math Institute as part of this documentary. And while they're filming, they put electrodes, like some form of a biofeedback machine, that somehow registers your heart's emotional reaction to various stimuli, but they put that on a bowl of yogurt. And then they had Shadyac start talking. And when the meter did nothing, they asked him to talk about something more triggering. So Shadyac discussed issues that were upsetting to him. And almost immediately, the needle on the meter started moving kind of up and down instead of wildly, right? The meter being read off these electrodes that were on the bowl of yogurt. Even more interesting, as Shadyac talked about things that really had what he referred to as unfinished business, the meter attached to the yogurt reading the electrodes went crazy. When he brought his attention back to the yogurt and watched what was happening, and he shifted his focus from the story and the emotions that he was feeling about the story and into looking in the present moment, just staring back at the yogurt, noticing the meter moving. The meter abruptly stopped. As soon as he stopped and disengaged with his feelings and thoughts, the meter stopped with the yogurt. The yogurt was undeniably reacting to his emotions and his thoughts. I found it so interesting that the meter attached to the yogurt came to a standstill when he shifted his focus. I think maybe we can take this as a cue that the impact you are having when catching yourself in a negative spiral can be changed immediately. And you can have a positive impact on yourself and the world around you by simply catching yourself and shifting your focus. That, sometimes we can beat ourselves up like, well, I can't stop the negative thoughts, or I'm so mad at myself for going there. I was so negative today. But really, all we have to do is catch ourselves and shift your focus. And then you have an opportunity to shift the kind of energy you're putting out and what you're getting back in return. So the truth is, the only limitations that truly exist are the ones we believe in. Honestly, it's a long game trying to tackle these beliefs. It is, I'm not going to lie. But your job is to simply just get started. Remember, how you think and feel has ripple effects. So the most important thing you can do is become the queen of the reframe or the king of the reframe, right? How you're reframing. As soon as you notice this negativity, you're going to stop, catch yourself, shift your focus onto something that's more expansive, not constrictive, right? So if you have a spiral of energy, negative thoughts, it's okay. Now you have an opportunity to practice reframing. Isn't that cool, right? Like, hey, this is a great opportunity for me to practice this. Oops, I just made a mistake. I really want you to look at it and be oversimplifying, laugh at yourself, ask yourself, is this experience that I was just having, the thoughts I was just having, the feelings, were they constricting or expanding of my manifesting energy field, right? Constricting, okay. So what is a positive reframe? Because that's your next step. How can you look at this differently? How can you experience this as something that is good for you in some way? Can you step into trusting and step out of fear and judgment? What can you appreciate about yourself right now? What positive affirmation can you call upon? It is important for you to find these kind of words, answer these questions, and then say them out loud. If that thing you were spiraling on actually ended up shocking the hell out of you and had a really positive outcome, what could that be? Right? Like the thing you're worried or the thing you're obsessing about or the thing that, feeling really negative or hard on yourself for. If it were to really shock the hell out of you and have this really incredible positive outcome, what could that be? Then focus on that and say this or something better. I love that statement. This or something better. And when you notice you are having positive thoughts, I want you to increase them. Imagine the ripple effect that your higher vibrational thoughts are having on your energy field that's expanding as you're having them. I want you to remember this. It's important. A belief is literally a practiced vibration. That one hit me over the head when I first heard it. I was like, yeah, a belief is literally a practice vibration. It has been practiced over and over, and it is the signal we put out into the field that gets stronger and stronger with that practice. Therefore, we start to see more of it show up in our life, creating the myth that the belief is a truth. But really, it's just a creation. It is what you have been busy creating, right? Good or bad, whatever that belief is, whether you want it or not, right? It's just a creation. Take a look around you at your life. It is full of what you have been busy creating. So your job now, as you get started, is to start to practice a new belief, one that matches the frequency of what you really desire to bring into your life. So a real high vibe belief is what's needed. But so many people, and you may be one of them thinking this right now, you might be saying to yourself, that's all nice, Michelle, but that reframe, I don't believe it. So it will just be fake. I'm not going to believe that. And I usually say, that's okay. Do it anyway. No, they don't understand quite yet. It hasn't clicked, and maybe it has for you in this episode, and maybe it hasn't, but it will click eventually. You will understand, wow, it is actually really important for me to do this, whether I believe it or not. Because a belief does not become a belief until the vibration has been practiced over and over. And when you start to have an emotionally positive reaction to practicing this new higher vibe belief and these thoughts, now you're in the creation mode and you're manifesting. So you just got to start, right? I think I broke it down. I hope I made that a little more simple for you to understand that even if you're faking it until you make it kind of thing, that it's actually really important for you to start showing up for your thoughts, start showing up, raising the vibration, reframing it into a positive way. And it's going to make a big difference, even if you don't believe it right now, okay? I've created 2 podcast episodes that will be a huge support for you in this process. Even if you remember listening to it in the past, I want you to go back and listen to it again, because you remember when I said in the beginning that we only hear what we're ready to hear. Well, I think today or tomorrow or whenever, you will hear something new in those episodes because you listened to this today, because where you're at today is different than where you were then. So number 21, how to develop a magical perspective mindset work for manifesting empaths. And actually number 20 as well, which is stop repeating these words so you can stop summoning your inner victim and start feeling like a powerful manifester. Those 2 are going to really help you with language and looking at how you want to approach making this shift. So to summarize this series in just a few sentences, I want you to tap back into your intuition by incorporating that we talked about the 3 C's. We talked about bringing in crystals and cards or any other divination tools, anything to play with, to tap back in and fun, but to tap back in a meaningful way and reconnect with your intuition and reconnect with your psychic gifts. Practice them, kind of sit in them, open up to them again. Remember yourself. You are psychic as an empath. You are definitely clairsentient, but you also likely have other gifts. And we want to help you deepen your relationship with the energy world around you and within you as you continue to practice acknowledging your thoughts and actions that constrict your energy. Work on creating and experiencing more expansive energy. That second episode that we did really helped you hone in on recognizing you have a special gift here as a sensitive soul that you are, right? As an empath and seeker, you're here for some meaningful stuff. And some of that really is about managing, working with energy and source energy and creating and manifesting. Lastly, today, we really address 2 most important boundaries for you to focus on. Boundaries with yourself and boundaries with others, along with suggestions for you to consider while coming up with the area in your life you really want to focus on. And this is where it all comes together. And that is the last part. we just finished. What every detail of this series was truly for and about, what all this work is for, and that is to create a more abundant belief system, to create more magic in your life. Whatever you want is metaphorically the yogurt, right? And it is waiting for your signal. It's up to you what you receive in return. Now that's pretty magical, right? So when you set your boundaries, remember what they're for, what they're protecting. It's a pretty big deal. Setting these boundaries are going to be really important for you to maintain your energy system, to be able to work with your energy system, and to be able to manifest and have the things you want in your life and have magical thinking and do all the magical things. It's a big deal. So thank you for joining me on this 3-part journey. As always, I hope it has inspired you to show up for yourself in new ways and open up to your limitless gifts. Please take a moment to rate the show and leave a review if you found this helpful. It's a way you can really help others find the show and pass on the good vibes, and it means a lot to me. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a beautiful week ahead. Talk to you next week. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Into the Work Therapy for Empaths and Seekers. Don't forget to grab your free gift, your Shadow Work Transformation Bundle at michellepoverman.com. I've included everything you need to get started to break through the patterns of self-sabotage and finally start to heal the parts of yourself that are getting in the way of truly reaching your potential. From a powerful meditation designed to help you meet and embrace your shadow self, to the guide that's full of curated prompts and important questions to support you on this journey. This really can be the work for you to unmask the root cause of all the issues you've been experiencing, honestly, and start to feel free to believe in yourself and go for what you want. The link for this free bundle is in the show notes. And if you like this episode, I would be so grateful if you could take a moment and rate, click and follow, and leave a review. Of course, you can always follow me on socials at Michelle Poverman. And keep in mind, as you embark on your journey from spark to brilliance, remember, the universe is always conspiring in favor of your awakening. Everything that's happening is in support of you lighting your own fire within. So until we meet again, may your path be well lit and your heart be guided. Shine bright, seekers. Until next time.